It is with great pleasure that I invite Mr. Greg Whitby, our Executive Director of Schools, to address the gathering.
I extend a very warm welcome to our annual Education Mass to you all. It's great to see so many gathered again for this wonderful celebration of faith. I'd like to acknowledge especially our Bishop Anthony and the clergy of the Diocese who are present with us today. I thank you all for your tremendous support for the work that we do in our Catholic schools across the Diocese. I'd like to welcome our special guests, Dominic Perrottet, State Member for Castle Hill, Mr Kevin Connolly, the State Member for Riverstone, Councillor John Chedid, Lord Mayor of Parramatta, Councillor Jackie Donaldson, representing the Lord Mayor of Blacktown, Dr Andrew Mullins, Headmaster, Wallamai College, Warrington, and a special welcome to Professor Lynn Sharrett from the University of Toronto in Canada, who's been working with us for the last week. I warmly welcome our colleagues from other diocesan ministries, including Mr Paul Worthington, the Executive Director of the Confraternity for Christian Doctrine, Anne-Marie Plecton, Parramatta Diocesan Schools Council, Sister Marlene and Sister Irene, Maronite College of the Holy Family, Sister Mary and Sister Teresa from the Sisters of the Holy Family of Nazareth, all the way from Spain, and Father Paul Roberts, the Director of the Institute for Mission. And of course, a very warm welcome to our new teachers and principals who will be commissioned this afternoon. To all our teachers, leaders, staff who have come to celebrate with us today, I say a very special welcome. Several years ago, I came across a quote by an American poet, Muriel Rukeyser. She wrote that the universe is made of stories, not of atoms. I thought about this quote after reading about the Rosetta probe, and even if you aren't a space buff, it's still a fascinating story. The European Space Agency launched the Rosetta probe back in 2004 to chase down and land on the surface of a comet. It was as bold and as ambitious as space missions get. John F. Kennedy once said that we choose to do things not because they're easy, but because they are hard. It's hard to grasp the complexities of the Rosetta probe, but what is even more fascinating is that the probe has travelled these hundreds of millions of kilometres on solar power. For the past 3 years, it's been in a cosmic slumber, but it's back on track to rendezvous with the comet in late August. It will be the first time ever, if successful, that we will see images and data from a comet, and which are the very building blocks of our solar system. Well, I know you're not here for a science lesson, and you're probably wondering what the Rosetta probe has to do with Catholic schooling. A natural question. Well, first, this mission reminds us that the impossible is always possible. Man has walked on the moon, and hopefully man can land a probe on a comet. And if we can do this, then we can certainly reimagine Catholic schooling. It's the point that our dear friend and great Catholic educator Barry Dwyer always made to us. Secondly, just as the Rosetta probe is going deeper into space, our system of schools is going deeper into the very practice of teaching. We know that high-performing systems of schools are built by effective teachers. In my address to our system leaders in January this year, I referred to the holy grail of science, the search for a unified theory of everything, a coherent framework that brings together the two theories of quantum mechanics and relativity, a theory that would in fact claim to answer the very nature of how the universe works. I said that we in Parramatta are very fortunate to have developed our very own unified theory of Catholic learning and teaching, and it's found in the work of effective teachers who create personalised learning for their students, who collaborate with their colleagues and give witness through every minute of their working lives to their faith life. 2 years ago, we talked about the importance of learning by inquiring, which led us to our next strategic theme of good teaching. and we continue our focus on good teaching this year, only we are committed to going much, much deeper. And what do we mean by this? It means looking at what effective teachers do and think, and how this level adds to further success, not just for some, but for each and every learner in our schools. I know this conversation is already happening in our schools, but we'll take it to the next level by introducing teacher goals this year that align with our literacy and numeracy and formation goals. Our approach to improving learning and teaching has been to work through our theory of action, step by step, aligning the work of the system and the schools, building leadership capacity, investing in the skills and knowledge of our teachers and staff in our schools. It's been very challenging, but we are now learning as much from each other as we are learning together in our system. As always, the school year began in the shadow of the media comments and headlines, such as complaints about the nature of the curriculum, funding challenges, teacher performing, etc., and most importantly, I suppose, that Australia's lagging behind. Well, in the light of such headlines, I suppose it's easy to reduce our understanding of the curriculum and as a political tool to embed ideology. However, we know that it's the relationship between the teacher, the student and the content that we see powerful learning occurring, not just the curriculum. In this sense, the curriculum is an important tool for teachers to craft meaningful learning experience that will educate for life. But within a Catholic school context, the curriculum becomes the meeting place of our religious values, the expectations and hopes for children, and the lived experiences of learners of all age. Everything we do is aligned with our Catholic understanding of what it means to be human and of the sort of life worth living. We are educating, in fact, for eternal life. As you know, this year New South Wales schools will be implementing a new English, maths, science and history syllabus as part of the first phase of the new national curriculum. This year we will be providing teachers and leaders in our system with professional learning and resources that make explicit the gospel message across these subject areas. When taught within a framework of a Catholic education worldview, every subject has a religious dimension. The physical sciences stress the importance of rationality, but excite us with the sense of awe and complexity of creation. When subjects have a religious dimension, it provides a context for students to pursue wisdom and, more importantly, to learn to know God, themselves, and the world much better. Late last year, I read a fascinating profile of Pope Francis in Time magazine. He was, of course, as you'd remember, named the Person of the Year by Time in 2003. At the time, I tweeted that Pope Francis was an example of a contemporary leader. In fact, Jesuit author Chris Lowney writes that the Pope's style and values is challenging our wider culture's approach to leadership. Pope Francis's leadership is undoubtedly influenced by his Jesuit spirituality. The founder of the Jesuits, St. Ignatius of Loyola, knew the importance of developing leaders, and he left the world with some principles of leadership which are as relevant today as they were centuries ago. St. Ignatius said, "You become a leader by cultivating self-awareness, embracing a challenging world with compassion and creativity, engaging others with a positive and loving attitude, and energising oneself and others with high expectations." This is what school leaders do. They serve, they inspire, and they challenge themselves and those all around them. At our gathering in January with our leaders, I asked our leaders to consider raising the bar. I suggested that in addition to our system goals of literacy and numeracy and formation, that we make a conscious effort to deepen the sacramental life of our school communities and ensure that each child achieves at least 1 year's learning gain for every year of schooling. I don't think that that's impossible. I think it's possible. Each year of our work is critical, but we can be confident that we are making a difference. And at the heart of this success we seek for each student is a commitment to our work together as a system of schools to improve what we do. Catholic schooling may not be a space odyssey, but it's a great adventure and one we share as part of the ongoing evangelising mission of the Church. It reminds us continually that the impossible is always possible. Thank you.